Chosen one. You are not here by accident. This moment is a divine appointment, a heavenly summons, a holy interruption designed specifically for your spirit. Something in the unseen has shifted, and heaven has aligned your steps to this very message. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural breakthrough, a moment where God Himself steps into your timeline with provision, clarity, and divine funding. The weight you've been carrying is being lifted. The fear that whispered to you in the night is losing its voice. The delay that made you question your worth is dissolving under the authority of God's perfect timing. Chosen one, hear this with your spirit wide awake. You are entering the realm where God funds what He authors, where divine strategy meets supernatural supply, where the promise written over your life begins to manifest in real time. Just as it is written in Philippians chapter 4 verse 19, God will supply all your needs, not from earthly resources, but from the riches of His glory. You are stepping into holy provision. You are stepping into divine alignment. You are stepping into the life heaven has already prepared for you. Chosen one, prepare your spirit. What's coming is bigger than you imagined. Chosen one, hear this with the deepest part of your spirit. What is happening in your life right now is not random, accidental, or coincidental. This is a divine transition, a holy rearranging of the atmosphere around you. It is the moment when heaven steps into your story in a way that cannot be explained by logic or timing or effort. You are being shifted from a life built on survival to a life carried by supernatural supply. And as you listen to this word, your spirit already knows it. Something in you is rising. Something in you is remembering. Something in you is awakening to what heaven has been preparing you for, quietly, slowly, faithfully behind the scenes. For so long, chosen one, you have been living from emergency to emergency, carrying the weight of every bill, every decision, every fear, every unanswered question. You have stretched yourself thin trying to make life work through your own strength. You have carried responsibilities far heavier than what anyone around you ever knew. And you have wondered more times than you can count how much longer you could keep going. But the season of barely getting by, of constantly scrambling for the next solution, is being dismantled by heaven itself. You are stepping into a supernatural dimension where God is no longer just your comfort. He is your source. He is your provider. He is the one sponsoring your steps, your vision, your healing, your ideas, your elevation. Lack is no longer the narrative over your life. That story is being deleted at the root. And I say this as someone who has lived through my own wilderness, someone who knows what it feels like to stare at a situation that doesn't match God's promise. I remember seasons where I was juggling deadlines, obligations, and silent battles all at once, even when no one saw the struggle God did. And every time I reached the end of my strength, heaven had already prepared a provision I didn't expect, a connection I didn't plan for, a breakthrough I couldn't have produced. That is the same grace that is rising over your life right now, chosen one. Heaven is not giving you crumbs. Heaven is building a feast. This is not about temporary relief or quick fixes that dissolve just as fast as they arrive. This is about a holy overflow, a divine abundance that stretches far beyond the financial realm. Yes, resources are coming. Yes, money will show up at the right time. But heaven is releasing more than currency. Ideas are coming. Favor is coming. Peace is coming. Clarity is coming. Divine timing is coming, rest is coming, healing is coming, solutions are coming before the problems even appear. You are entering a flow where things begin to align with a grace that does not make sense to the natural mind. You are stepping into blessings. You didn't chase opportunities, you didn't force, and doors you didn't knock on. This is supernatural alignment. This is divine strategy. This is heaven adjusting you to what has been yours through Christ all along. I've talked with so many people who kept their dreams buried because they believed their resources were too small. They thought their timing was off. They assumed their window had closed. But I'll never forget listening to a woman share how she held her vision for nearly a decade. She thought she missed her moment. She thought life had passed her by. Then one ordinary afternoon, someone overheard her passion, and within weeks her entire assignment was funded, supported, and launched. She told me later God couldn't release it until I stopped surviving and started believing again. Chosen one. This is your invitation to believe again. You have spent years trying to earn what heaven always intended to give you. You've tried to prove yourself through effort, through perfection, through overwork. But what's coming to you now is not a payment for performance. It is a release based on purpose. You are stepping into the kind of blessing that cannot be manufactured, the kind of elevation that cannot be negotiated, the kind of provision that cannot be explained by natural means. God is funding your future because your life carries weight. There is destiny on you. There is assignment on you. There is impact attached to your existence. You're not just being blessed, you are being entrusted. And because of that chosen one, this is not the moment to shrink. This is not the moment to doubt. This is not the moment to sabotage what heaven is releasing by thinking too small or settling for too little. Heaven did not bring you this far to let you question your worth now. Lift your head. Something is shifting. Something is awakening. Something is unlocking on your behalf. What felt delayed was actually being prepared. What felt denied was actually being aligned. Heaven is restoring the years you thought were lost. Heaven is replacing what was stolen. Heaven is rewriting what you thought was ruined. And heaven is doing it in a way that will silence every lie that told you it wouldn't happen for you. Chosen one. What does it look like when God funds your life? It looks like rest that confuses your enemies. It looks like strategies you didn't study for. It looks like solutions that arrive before the storm. It looks like doors swinging open at the exact moment you thought you had no more strength to knock. It looks like peace in the chaos, clarity in the confusion, and unexpected favor showing up like divine fingerprints all over your story. When heaven funds your purpose, nothing can block what belongs to you. Not your past, not your fear, not the people who left, not the mistakes you made, not the seasons you thought disqualified you. You were chosen before the foundation of the world. You were called long before life tried to convince you otherwise. And what God opens, no one can shut. What God shuts, no one can force back open. This is your moment, chosen one. Heaven is shifting your atmosphere. Heaven is breaking the patterns of survival off your life. Heaven is resourcing you with a strength, a confidence, and a divine backing that you have never known before. You are stepping into the fullness of what was written over you. You are stepping into your divine provision. You are stepping into your supernatural supply. Chosen one, breathe this in. Feel it rise. Let your spirit recognize it. Heaven is approving what you need. Heaven is accelerating what was delayed. Heaven is aligning what was scattered. And heaven is preparing you for a life that no longer looks like struggle, but looks like purpose fulfilled. Chosen one. As this divine flow continues to unfold, you must understand that nothing in your life is happening randomly. Every shift, every stirring, every moment where your spirit feels stretched or awakened is part of a holy rearrangement. You are being moved from a life of reacting to a life of receiving, from striving to surrender, from uncertainty to supernatural certainty. There were seasons where you did everything you could with what you had, where you survived off scraps of strength and fragments of hope. Yet even in those moments, heaven was watching, organizing and aligning what you could not see. And now the very atmosphere around you is beginning to respond to that unseen preparation. You may feel it in subtle ways, your thoughts shifting your expectations, rising your fears, losing their grip. And these are not small things. These are confirmations that heaven's timing has collided with your obedience. Chosen one. This is the season where God is not simply giving you what you need. He is introducing you to what has always been yours. Divine identity is being awakened, and as your identity shifts, everything connected to you must shift as well. The way you think, the way you speak, the spaces you occupy, the opportunities that approach you, they all begin to align with who you truly are in the spirit. I remember seasons in my own life where I felt the inner stirring before I ever saw the outer evidence. Days where something inside whispered, more is coming, even though nothing around me looked like it. And every time I honored that whisper, every time I refused to sink back into fear, provision followed. Not always in obvious ways, but in small signs that heaven was inching me forward. That same invisible grace is now unfolding in your life. There are blessings overtaking you that you cannot trace back to your own effort. There are divine alignments forming without your involvement. There are resources searching for you because heaven has commanded them to find you. You may notice certain things falling away, habits, people, environments that no longer fit your future. And though part of you may want to cling to what's familiar, your spirit knows it's time to release the old. When heaven expands you, anything that shrinks you must be removed. And this removal is not rejection, it is protection, it is refinement. It is God making room for what carries weight, purpose, and promise. The chosen one you are becoming cannot be surrounded by what was connected to your survival era. Your new season demands a new environment, and heaven is rearranging everything to match what is coming. As you shift into this supernatural alignment, the way you carry yourself will change. You will walk with a deeper peace because the pressure you once carried is no longer yours to hold. You will speak with clarity because heaven is guiding your thoughts. You will make decisions with confidence because fear is losing its authority. I have lived through moments where worry tried to suffocate my ability to dream, and it was only when I surrendered that inner battle that God released what was meant for me. That same surrender is now being asked of you, chosen one. Not passive surrender, but holy surrender, a posture of trust that says, I don't know how, but I know who. This is the place where supernatural supply begins to flow. Provision that arrives before you ask. Opportunities that align without your planning. Ideas that spark when you least expect them. You will find yourself solving problems with insight you didn't study for. You will walk into conversations that hold the exact breakthrough you've been praying for. You will see heaven move people out of your way and move people toward you in perfect timing. And as this happens, understand that you are not just being blessed, you are being positioned. Blessing enters your life for your comfort, but positioning enters your life for your calling. Chosen one. Heaven is not preparing you for a moment. Heaven is preparing you for a mantle. And mantles require maturity, clarity, and spiritual stability. You are being elevated into a role that carries influence in realms you haven't stepped into yet. Your presence will begin to shift atmospheres. Your voice will begin to carry authority. Your decisions will begin to impact others in ways you did not anticipate. This is why God is reinforcing your foundation. The blessing coming to you will not crush you, because God is strengthening you internally before expanding you externally. As this transformation deepens, you will begin to see life through the eyes of someone who is no longer trying to survive, but has finally learned to trust. You will stop asking, "Will it work out?" and begin declaring, "It is already done." You will stop worrying about timing and start flowing with divine timing. You will stop shrinking to fit into old circles and begin rising into the spaces heaven has prepared. The fear that once controlled you will lose its power as your identity aligns with truth. Chosen one. Every step you take from this point forward is guided, sponsored, and strengthened by heaven. You are not walking alone. You are not building alone. You are not transitioning alone. You are being carried by a force greater than fear, greater than lack, greater than uncertainty. Something holy is unfolding. Something ancient is awakening. Something divine is being released over your life. And this is only the beginning of what heaven has planned for you. Chosen one. As this divine unfolding continues, you are being ushered into a dimension of life where nothing looks the same because nothing is the same. The old battles that once drained you no longer have authority. The old fears that once silenced you no longer have a voice. The old patterns that once kept you small are losing their grip because your spirit is awakening to a greater truth. You are stepping out of cycles that lasted for years and into alignment that happens in moments. Heaven has accelerated your timeline, and even if you can't fully see it yet, your spirit can feel the shift. There is a clarity coming upon you that cannot be explained by circumstances, only by divine revelation. You are becoming someone who walks with certainty because you finally understand who is walking with you. Chosen one, you may have noticed lately that the things that used to unsettle you don't shake you the way they once did. This is not numbness, it is spiritual maturity. It is the quiet confidence of someone who has survived storms that should have taken them out, heartbreaks that should have broken them permanently, pressures that should have crushed their hope. Yet, here you are, still rising, still believing, still moving forward, even when life tried to convince you to stay stuck. I've been in that place myself, where the weight felt too heavy, where the waiting felt endless, where the silence from heaven felt like abandonment. But every time I reached the edge of my endurance, God revealed that He had been carrying me all along. That same revelation is descending upon you now. There is a supernatural steadiness forming within you, a stillness born from knowing that God is not just watching your life, He is orchestrating it. And this awareness is beginning to shape the way you navigate your days. You'll notice an inner boldness rising when you speak about your dreams. You'll feel a peace settling in places that used to be filled with panic. You'll catch yourself expecting good instead of bracing for disappointment. These are signs that heaven is renewing your mind, realigning your heart, and reforming your identity from the inside out. And chosen one, because your identity is shifting, your environment must shift with it. There are people you once felt connected to who now feel distant, not because of conflict, but because of calling. There are conversations you used to engage in that no longer feed your spirit. There are old versions of you that no longer feel comfortable because your spirit has outgrown your history. This is not loss. This is liberation. This is God removing weights you didn't even know you were carrying. When heaven elevates you, separation is part of the process. But this separation is not punishment. It is preparation. You cannot step into your divine assignment while clinging to what was only meant for a previous chapter. In this new season, you will find yourself drawn to higher places, higher thoughts, higher standards, higher expectations, higher connections. You will begin to desire what aligns with your destiny rather than what comforts your past. You are being refined into someone who can carry wealth spiritually, mentally, and yes, financially, without being destroyed by it. Heaven is preparing you for influence, not just provision. This requires depth. This requires discernment. This requires spiritual weight. And heaven is building that weight within you even now. As this inner transformation takes place, you will also notice divine timing operating in ways that seem almost unreal. Opportunities that once felt delayed will suddenly appear. Conversations that once felt impossible will open with ease. Ideas that once felt too big will now feel natural because your capacity has expanded. I've seen this happen in my own life, moments where everything aligned in a way I couldn't have planned or forced. That is what happens when heaven sponsors your steps. That is what happens when divine timing takes over. That is what is happening to you now. Chosen one. Everything connected to your purpose is being activated. Your gifts are sharpening, your vision is strengthening, your intuition is heightening. And as this happens, you will be surprised by how effortlessly solutions begin to flow. When heaven funds your life, provision is no longer an event. It becomes a rhythm. It becomes a pattern. It becomes the natural outcome of alignment. You won't have to chase what is already assigned to you. What is meant for you will find you, follow you, and flow to you because heaven has mandated it. This is the beauty of divine flow. You are not forcing anything. You are not fighting for scraps. You are walking in grace, and grace does what hustle never could. Grace opens doors. Grace gathers resources. Grace brings people. Grace reveals strategy. Grace carries you through terrain that used to terrify you. Grace is becoming your new normal, and the more you trust it, the more it expands. Chosen one, prepare yourself. You are stepping into days where provision will not surprise you. It will be expected. You are stepping into a season where peace will not be rare. It will be your baseline. You are stepping into a life where blessings will not feel accidental. They will feel aligned. Heaven is rewriting your story from the inside out, and everything around you is about to reflect the shift within you. Chosen one. As you continue walking into this divine transformation, you will begin to notice that the way heaven moves in your life is no longer subtle. What once felt like quiet whispers of encouragement will start to feel like clear instructions. What once felt like scattered signs will start to form a pattern. What once felt like random breakthroughs will begin to reveal a holy strategy behind them. You are entering a season where heaven is no longer hinting, heaven is announcing. And every announcement carries evidence that you are not simply surviving anymore. You are ascending, you are moving into the realm where your spirit leads before your circumstances catch up. And because of that shift, you will begin to see life responding to you in ways you have never experienced before. Chosen one. One of the first things you will notice is that clarity is coming quickly. Answers that you have waited months or even years for will begin to unfold. You will find yourself knowing what to do next without overthinking it. You will sense direction without doubting whether it is from God. This clarity is not coming from your mind. It is coming from your spirit. Heaven is aligning your thoughts with your calling, your desires, with your destiny, your vision, with God's timing. And because of this alignment, confusion will lose its power over you. I've had moments where I begged God for answers and felt nothing but silence, only to realize later that the silence was preparing me for a clarity that would change everything. That same clarity is now approaching your life. As clarity increases, so will the weight of your calling. You will begin to feel the inner pull toward purpose in a way that refuses to be ignored. There will be days when you wake up with fresh fire in your spirit, knowing something significant is on the horizon. There will be moments where your passion reignites without warning. There will be conversations that remind you of who you truly are and who you were always meant to become. This is heaven stirring your spirit. This is God awakening your assignment. This is your calling rising from the background to the forefront. And chosen one, you will no longer be able to hide from it. You will no longer be able to shrink from it. You will no longer be able to pretend you don't feel it. Heaven has placed too much inside you to let you stay small. As your assignment awakens, certain things in your environment will begin to shift more aggressively. People who were once comfortable around you may grow uneasy as your spirit grows stronger. Spaces that once felt familiar may now feel restrictive. Conversations that once entertained you may feel draining. This is because your spirit is elevating, and anything that doesn't match that elevation will naturally fall away. This is not a punishment. This is divine filtration. God is protecting the purity of what He is building inside you by removing anything that threatens its growth. You might feel the temptation to hold on to salvage old connections or familiar routines, but chosen one release is part of rising. You cannot carry old weight into a new dimension. In this season, you will also begin to feel heaven reorganizing your priorities. Things you once tolerated will no longer sit right in your spirit. Certain habits will naturally fall away because they no longer align with the person you are becoming. You will crave peace more than approval. You will seek purpose more than entertainment. You will desire depth more than distraction. I've walked through this shift myself and wondered why certain things no longer fulfilled me, only to realize that my spirit had outgrown what my flesh used to depend on. You are experiencing that same growth now, and it's a sign that heaven is maturing you for supernatural responsibility. And chosen one, as this inner maturity develops, you will find yourself moving with a confidence that doesn't come from achievements or validation. It comes from revelation. A revelation that you are backed by heaven, that you are guided by God, that you are sustained by grace. This confidence may feel unfamiliar at first, because for so long you were conditioned to doubt yourself, question your voice, or shrink your power. But as God strengthens you internally, your confidence will no longer be tied to circumstance. It will be anchored in identity. Your identity as someone chosen, someone anointed, someone assigned to carry what others are not equipped to hold. As your confidence grows, opportunities will begin to recognize you even before you recognize them. You will walk into moments that feel tailor-made for your gifting. You will meet people who feel as if heaven sent them directly into your path. You will step into rooms that your old self never would have believed you deserved to enter. And yet, as each door opens, you will feel an inner knowing not of surprise, but of alignment. Because deep down, you will realize that everything happening around you was first prepared within you. Heaven never releases externally what you are not ready for internally. Chosen one, get ready, because this supernatural alignment is just beginning. You are entering a flow where breakthroughs will feel natural, where elevation will feel inevitable, and where blessings will feel like the natural expression of who you are becoming. Heaven is not simply transforming your circumstances. Heaven is transforming you, and everything around you must now adjust to the version of you that God has prepared for this moment. Chosen one. As this divine story continues to unfold in your life, you will begin to see that God is not simply changing your situation. He is changing your spiritual posture, your internal positioning, the way you move, think, speak, and perceive what is possible. This transformation is not external first. It is internal, invisible, quiet, yet powerful enough to shift the entire trajectory of your future. You may have wondered why certain things felt uncomfortable recently, why old cycles felt tighter, why familiar places no longer satisfied your spirit. It's because heaven is inviting you into a higher dimension. You are being pulled out of what was normal and prepared for what is supernatural. And this kind of elevation always starts within, before it manifests without. Chosen one. There is a deep recalibration happening inside you. You may not feel like you asked for it, but God is aligning you nonetheless. Moments that used to drain you now reveal hidden lessons. Moments that once discouraged you now remind you of your resilience. Every experience of your past is being reinterpreted under the light of God's purpose. Even your pain is being repurposed. Even your waiting is being redeemed. There were seasons where you felt unseen, unheard, and unprotected, but heaven was watching the entire time. I have lived through seasons where I felt abandoned by God, only to look back later and realize that His silence was actually strategy. And now, chosen one, you are stepping into the revelation that nothing you endured was wasted. Not a single tear. Not a single disappointment, not a single moment of confusion. Heaven was recording everything and preparing a divine reversal. This is why you will begin to feel a strength rising within you that you cannot explain. You will find yourself making decisions that the old version of you never would have had the courage to make. You will find yourself speaking up in ways that surprise even you. You will find yourself releasing things you once thought you needed. This is not impulsiveness. This is spiritual intelligence. Heaven is sharpening your discernment. God is stretching your capacity. You are being prepared to steward what you once only dreamed of. Your inner world is being upgraded to match the level of blessing that is coming. Because chosen one of the greatest truths you must embrace is this: God does not give big blessings to small identities. He grows the person before He releases the promise. And as your identity expands, so will your perspective. You will stop thinking like someone who is trying to survive and start thinking like someone who is destined to build. You will stop planning from fear and begin planning from faith. You will stop asking whether something is possible and start asking whether it is aligned. This shift in perspective is evidence that heaven is renewing your mind. It is evidence that divine strategy is beginning to flow. You will notice ideas arriving in your spirit, unexpectedly, innovations you never considered, directions that feel too perfect to be random. These are heavenly blueprints being downloaded into your life, and when you follow them, you will see results that exceed natural logic. Yet even as this elevation takes place, there will be moments where you question whether you are truly ready. You will look at what God is calling you to do and wonder why He chose you. I understand this deeply because I have lived through moments where I felt wholly unqualified for the assignments God placed before me. But every time I doubted, God reminded me of one truth: He does not call the prepared. He prepares the called, and He is preparing you now. He is strengthening areas of your character that once felt weak. He is healing wounds you forgot you carried. He is reshaping your identity to match your destiny. The calling on your life is not too big. You were created for it. Chosen one. As this inner work continues, you will notice heaven orchestrating relationships in your life. Certain people will appear at just the right time, carrying encouragement, wisdom, or opportunity. These divine connections are not coincidences, they are assignments. Heaven sends people to elevate you, sharpen you, confirm you, and walk with you into the next dimension of your journey. At the same time, some relationships will naturally fade, not abruptly, not painfully, but silently and smoothly. This is God's way of making space for what is meant to come. It may feel strange at first, but trust that heaven never removes without replacing. And what is coming will carry far more weight, purpose, and alignment than what left. And chosen one, as you step deeper into this divine exchange, you will begin to experience supernatural provision in ways that feel almost unreal. Unexpected opportunities will arise, resources will appear without explanation, solutions will form before the problem even settles. You will begin to realize that you are not depending on the world system anymore. You are being sustained by heaven's economy, and heaven never runs dry. Provision is not being delayed. It is being prepared, and it is moving toward you even now. Chosen one, let this truth settle in your spirit. You are being transformed from the inside out for a reason. Heaven is preparing you to walk in a blessing that matches your calling, a blessing that matches your obedience, a blessing that matches your destiny. And everything you're stepping into now is setting the stage for the supernatural abundance that is on its way. Chosen one. As this sacred unfolding continues, you must understand that heaven is not only shifting what is happening around you, but it is reshaping what is happening within you. Your inner world is being rebuilt on a new foundation, a foundation of trust rather than tension, of faith rather than fear, of divine identity rather than survival instinct. This is why certain emotions, habits, and responses are surfacing now. Not to overwhelm you, but to be released from you. You cannot enter your next dimension carrying the weight of old patterns. Heaven is purifying your inner atmosphere so that when elevation arrives, it does not crush you, but crowns you. And chosen one. This purification is not punishment, it is preparation. There may be moments when you feel stretched, moments when you feel emotional, moments when you feel strangely sensitive to things that never bothered you before. This is because heaven is increasing your spiritual sensitivity so that you can discern what is divine, what is distracting, and what is dangerous to your destiny. For years, many of you learned to numb your intuition just to survive. You silenced your inner voice because the world convinced you it wasn't reliable. But now that heaven is restoring your spirit, your discernment is waking up again. You are becoming aware of energies, intentions, and environments that you once ignored. This is a sign of spiritual maturity. It is also a sign that heaven is entrusting you with greater responsibility. Someone who cannot discern cannot steward destiny, and God is making sure you are spiritually equipped for what He is bringing into your life. Chosen one. You might also notice that your capacity for peace is increasing. Situations that once rattled you now feel manageable. Storms that once terrified you now bring out a calm wisdom inside of you. This is not because life is getting easier, but because your spirit is getting stronger. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of divine perspective. And heaven is giving you a perspective that allows you to see beyond the immediate, beyond the surface, beyond the natural limitations of your circumstances. I have lived through seasons where the storms did not stop, but my fear did. Not because I became stronger, but because God made me steadier. And chosen one, that same steadiness is settling into your spirit now. As this inner strength continues to grow, you will also find that your relationship with provision is being healed. Many of you have lived through seasons where you constantly questioned whether you would have enough money, enough time, enough strength, enough support. Those seasons taught you to brace for lack, expect disappointment, and anticipate scarcity. But heaven is rewriting that story. You are being taught how to live from abundance rather than anxiety. Provision will no longer feel random. It will feel reliable. Blessings will no longer feel surprising. They will feel synchronized. You will begin to see resources flowing in ways that confirm God's promise rather than contradict your reality. And as you witness these moments, a deeper truth will settle in your spirit. God is not just providing for you, He is partnering with you. This partnership is becoming clearer as heaven aligns your steps with divine timing. You will start to recognize moments when the right opportunity appears at the exact right time. You will meet people who carry pieces of your destiny without even realizing it. You will find yourself in situations that feel predestined, conversations that open doors, and encounters that redirect your entire path. These are not coincidences. They are confirmations. Heaven is orchestrating a level of alignment that you could never produce through effort alone. And the more aligned you become, the more acceleration you will experience. When your spirit is in alignment, your life moves with grace instead of grinding. Chosen. One another noticeable shift in this season is your growing awareness of your worth. You're beginning to understand that your value does not come from what you produce, earn, or achieve. It comes from who you are in the eyes of heaven. This revelation may feel unfamiliar at first, because many of you were conditioned to equate your worth with your work. But heaven is breaking that mindset. When you know your worth, you no longer chase validation. You no longer settle for mediocre environments. You no longer entertain relationships that drain your spirit. Instead, you begin to attract people, places, and opportunities that honor what you carry. You begin to make decisions from identity rather than insecurity. You begin to walk with a posture that reflects someone chosen by God Himself. And as your worth becomes clearer, your boundaries will follow. You will say no to what once tempted you. You will step away from what once consumed you. You will protect your peace as if it is a treasure, because it is. Boundaries are not barriers, they are blessings. They create the structure necessary for God to build something lasting in your life. I have learned that every major elevation in my journey required me to let go of something that once felt comfortable. Sometimes it was a habit, sometimes a relationship, sometimes an outdated belief. And every time I released something, God replaced it with something greater. That same exchange is unfolding for you now. Chosen one, everything within you is being recalibrated to match the magnitude of what heaven is releasing. Your spirit is expanding. Your capacity is increasing. Your discernment is sharpening. Your peace is deepening. And with every internal shift, your external world is getting ready to transform with it. Stay open. Stay surrendered. Stay aligned. The greatest outpouring of provision, purpose, and supernatural clarity is drawing near. Chosen one. As you continue moving through this divine unfolding, you will notice that heaven is not merely restoring what was lost. Heaven is revealing who you truly are beneath the weight of survival and the shadows of old identity. This revelation comes gently for some and suddenly for others, yet it arrives with the same undeniable force. You are being shown the version of yourself that God always saw, even when you could not recognize it. And this unveiling is not simply an emotional experience. It is a spiritual awakening that prepares you for a supernatural level of alignment, influence, and abundance. Every shift happening within you is pulling you closer to the future heaven has authored for your life. There will be moments when this transformation feels like internal conflict, because the old self will try to cling to familiar patterns, while the new self rises with boldness. You might find your thoughts shifting your desires, changing your internal standards, elevating without conscious effort. This is the evidence that heaven is upgrading your mindset. The survival mentality that once served you is now being dissolved, and in its place, a mindset of abundance, clarity, and spiritual authority is emerging. You are not just thinking differently, you are becoming different. The seeds of divine identity that were planted years ago are finally sprouting, and though the process may feel unfamiliar, it is wholly intentional and irreversible. As this internal rebirth continues, relationships around you will begin to shift as well. Some people will distance themselves without explanation. Others will suddenly draw closer as if they sense something changing within you. Do not fear these movements. They are part of the spiritual sorting that happens when someone enters their destiny window. Those who cannot honor your calling will quietly fade, not because of drama or conflict, but because their assignment in your journey has expired. And those who carry divine alignment will be drawn to you, effortlessly recognizing the light resting upon your life even before you fully understand it yourself. Chosen one, you must also prepare for the rising sensitivity in your spirit. When God elevates someone, he sharpens their inner hearing. You will notice that certain conversations feel heavier than before, certain environments drain you faster, and certain forms of entertainment no longer resonate with your soul. This is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of refinement. Heaven is tuning your spirit like an instrument removing static, so you can hear divine instruction clearly. The more sensitive you become to what is holy, the easier it becomes to discern what is harmful. And this discernment is going to protect everything heaven is about to entrust to you. Along with sensitivity comes accountability. God is not just blessing you, he is building you. And part of that building is learning to respond to his instruction with obedience, not hesitation. There will be moments when heaven nudges you to step forward and moments when heaven warns you to step back. You may feel drawn to opportunities that once intimidated you or pulled away from situations you once tolerated. These instincts are not random. They are spiritual signals guiding you into alignment. When heaven is funding your future, heaven will not allow you to waste energy on assignments that are not yours. In this season, your vision will also expand. Ideas, dreams, and plans that once felt too big will begin to feel possible. You will wake up with clarity, new strategies, and sudden inspiration. This is because heaven is activating your purpose with a new level of urgency. You are not just being prepared for elevation, you are being prepared to steward influence. Provision will not come simply to make your life comfortable. Provision will come to empower your calling, sustain your mission, and increase your impact on the people connected to your destiny. Chosen one. You may feel moments of pressure rising again, not because you are slipping back into old patterns, but because pressure is a sign of expansion. When a container expands, the stretching can feel uncomfortable, but it is necessary to hold what is coming. The same is true for your spirit. Heaven is stretching you so you can contain more wisdom, more revelation, more peace, and more provision without breaking under the weight of blessing. Do not misinterpret this stretching as struggle. It is sacred stretching, divine preparation for overflow. As this expansion continues, you will also experience supernatural protection. Situations that could have harmed you will suddenly shift in your favor. Plans formed against you will dissolve before reaching your life. People who once misunderstood you will no longer have access to you. God is not just preparing your blessing, He is guarding your environment. You will begin to see signs of divine shielding, not because danger increases, but because your destiny does. Heaven protects what heaven promotes, and you are entering a season where your calling is too significant to be left unguarded. Soon, you will also notice a deeper peace settling over you. This peace is not fragile or temporary. It will remain even when circumstances fluctuate. It will anchor you when uncertainty tries to intimidate you. It will remind you that you are not walking alone, but carried by a source that cannot fail. This peace is one of the clearest signs that you are stepping into supernatural provision. Before heaven pours out abundance around you, heaven establishes abundance within you. Chosen one. Everything in your life is synchronizing with divine timing. The alignment you feel is not coincidence. The inner shifts you sense are not imagination. The hunger for more, the clarity awakening in you, the desire to rise into your true identity, these are all signs that heaven is calling you forward. Though the process may feel intense, it is proof that something extraordinary is being formed within you. Stay steady, stay open, stay expectant. Heaven has begun a work in you that will not stop until it is complete. Chosen one. As this divine unveiling deepens, heaven is beginning to touch the parts of your life you once thought were too broken, too delayed, or too insignificant to matter. What you must understand now in this sacred moment of spiritual expansion is that nothing about your journey has been wasted. Every setback, every disappointment, every unexpected turn has been used as material for the masterpiece God is constructing within you. What once felt like fragments are becoming foundations. What once felt like detours are being revealed as divine alignments. And what you once interpreted as abandonment was heaven repositioning you for a future far greater than what you originally imagined. This realization alone is transforming your inner posture, preparing you to receive what your spirit has long been carrying. As you step further into this realm of supernatural alignment, you will notice a stronger pull toward authenticity. There is no more room for pretending, shrinking, or performing. Heaven is calling you to show up as your true God-shaped self. The version of you that lived for approval is dissolving. The version that buried dreams to keep peace is fading. The version that settled for less because you feared you were too much is being replaced by a self that is bold, aligned, and deeply rooted in purpose. You are no longer adapting to environments that cannot hold your calling. You are rising to meet the environments heaven has prepared for you. And this shift will feel liberating, even if it feels lonely at times, because spiritual elevation often begins with separation. Chosen one, do not fear the distance forming between you and the people you once leaned on. Heaven is not isolating you. Heaven is insulating you. There is a difference. Isolation leaves you empty, but insulation protects your spirit, while God builds something new inside you. Some people are not walking away from you. They are being gently removed so they do not interfere with the next stage of your transformation. Others are being brought closer because they carry insight, wisdom, or support essential to your destiny. Heaven is curating your relationships with precision, ensuring that only what aligns with your purpose remains. As these relational shifts occur, your spirit will become increasingly aware of your assignment. Many of you have sensed for years that you were called to something larger than your surroundings. You felt it in your restlessness, in your dissatisfaction with mediocrity, in your longing for depth and meaning. What you once dismissed as imagination is now proving to be revelation. Heaven is confirming what your spirit knew all along. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to remain hidden. You were never designed to stay small. You carry a destiny that requires visibility, influence, and divine empowerment. And now, heaven is releasing the clarity you need to see the path forward. With this clarity comes responsibility, and with responsibility comes divine resourcing. Heaven does not give vision without provision. You will begin to see opportunities unfold that match the assignments God has placed in your heart. Unexpected conversations will confirm what you have been sensing. Doors you once knocked on without response will now swing open without effort. Ideas that once felt too big will suddenly appear attainable. This is heaven's way of signaling that it is time to move from hope into action, from dreaming into building, from survival into stewardship. Chosen one. As you move through this transition, you will begin to witness the supernatural in ways you never have before. Not always through dramatic miracles, though those will come, but through divine precision in the details of your life. Bills that once overwhelmed you will be handled with ease. Needs you used to stress over will be met before you even have to speak them. Solutions will show up at the exact moment you require them. People will appear carrying knowledge, resources, or access you did not know you needed. This is divine funding, not just financial provision, but spiritual, emotional, relational, and intellectual support sent straight from the throne room. And as this supernatural flow increases, so will your sense of peace. The anxiety that once ruled your mornings will lose its authority. The worry that once drained your joy will lose its grip. You will begin to trust the unseen more than the visible. You will begin to expect good rather than brace for disappointment. And you will begin to recognize that provision is not something you chase. It is something that follows you when you walk in divine obedience. Chosen one. This is not wishful thinking. It is not spiritual optimism. It is alignment. When your life syncs with heaven's timing, everything shifts: your mindset, your emotions, your opportunities, your relationships, and your ability to hear God clearly. And once this alignment begins, it cannot be reversed unless you turn back, and you will not turn back, because your spirit has tasted what peace feels like. You have felt what divine momentum feels like. And now that you've experienced even a glimpse of supernatural flow, you know deep within that you were created for far more than struggle. You are stepping into a chapter where heaven is not only providing for you, but partnering with you. Where blessing is not just falling on your life, but flowing through your life. Where purpose is not something you pursue, but something you embody. Everything is changing, and this time the change is permanent. Chosen one. As you continue moving into this holy elevation, you will begin to realize that heaven is not only rearranging your circumstances, but recalibrating your entire spiritual frequency. You are being tuned to operate on a higher wavelength, one where fear cannot enter, doubt cannot dominate, and scarcity cannot survive. This recalibration is necessary because what heaven is preparing to release into your life requires a spirit that is steady, discerning, and deeply anchored in truth. You are not merely being blessed. You are being transformed so that the blessing can rest on you without crushing you. This inner strengthening is the unseen miracle that makes the visible miracle possible, and now heaven is performing it within you with divine precision. There may be moments when this spiritual transformation feels like pressure, but chosen one, do not misunderstand the purpose of this pressure. Pressure is the evidence that what has been growing inside you is ready to emerge. Just as a seed must press against the soil to break through, you must press against old limitations to step fully into your calling. This pressure is not punishment, it is birth. It is the sound of destiny stretching your spirit to make room for the magnitude of what is coming. In this stretching you will discover strengths you did not know you possessed, and courage you did not know you carried. Heaven is revealing the depth of your capacity so you can rise without hesitation when the door opens. As this emergence continues, the clarity within you will sharpen. Thoughts that once felt foggy will become clear. Questions that once overwhelmed you will begin to resolve themselves. You will notice a quiet wisdom settling inside you, the kind that does not shout but speaks with undeniable weight. This is the fruit of alignment. When heaven aligns your spirit with its rhythm, confusion loses its authority. You no longer make decisions from anxiety, but from discernment. You no longer move from impulse, but from insight. And the more you honor this inner clarity, the more heaven will trust you with greater revelation. Chosen one. During this season of heightened clarity, you will also begin to see your past differently. The pain that once seemed pointless will now reveal its purpose. The losses that once broke you will now show you the strength they secretly built in you. The delays that once frustrated you will now prove themselves to be divine intervals protecting you from paths that were never meant to be part of your story. Heaven is giving you hindsight with healing, insight with peace, and foresight with confidence. Nothing from your past will haunt you in this new season. Instead, your past will serve you as evidence that God has been carrying you all along. This deeper understanding will transform your relationship with provision as well. You will no longer see provision as something that comes and goes unpredictably, but as a consistent flow sustained by divine intention. You will begin to notice patterns in how God provides, patterns of timing, patterns of alignment, patterns of unexpected help, and unexplained breakthroughs. What once felt random will begin to feel orchestrated. And when you recognize heaven's patterns, you stop worrying about the how because you become anchored in the who. Provision becomes personal when you know the provider. As this revelation deepens, your confidence will rise, not arrogance, but authority. You will walk differently, speak differently, make decisions with a weight that comes from knowing you are backed by heaven. This shift in posture will surprise even you at times. You will say no to things you once tolerated because your spirit recognizes that they no longer align with your future. You will say yes to opportunities that once intimidated you because you now understand that boldness is part of your divine DNA. And as you walk in this newfound authority, the world will begin to respond differently to you because spiritual authority is not something you announce. It is something you carry. Chosen one, with this rising authority comes rising influence. People will start seeking your insight, your presence, your wisdom, even when you did not ask for their attention. This is because the light within you is becoming undeniable. Heaven has been polishing you in private, and now the shine is becoming visible. You may have spent years feeling hidden, overlooked, or underestimated, but none of that was punishment. It was preparation. A seed is hidden before it grows. A diamond is buried before it shines, and a chosen one is concealed before being revealed. That revealing is beginning now, and heaven will ensure that when you rise in a way that cannot be ignored. As influence grows, so will your sense of mission. You will feel a pull to uplift others, to speak life where you once stayed silent, to guide others through storms you yourself survived. This is part of your assignment. Heaven does not elevate you to isolate you, but to position you as a carrier of breakthrough for others. Your testimony will become a lifeline to people who are searching for hope, clarity, and direction, and you will speak not from theory, but from lived experience. Everything you overcame has become oil, and that oil will anoint the people God assigns to your life. Chosen one. This season marks the beginning of supernatural synchronization. Your inner world and your outer world are beginning to match. Your faith and your reality are beginning to merge. Your prayers and your outcomes are becoming aligned. Heaven is weaving together moments, people, resources, and opportunities with flawless precision. Nothing is random now. Everything is intentional. And the more you yield to the process, the more effortless your elevation becomes. You are standing at the threshold of divine momentum. What begins in this season will not fade. It will multiply. Heaven is not giving you a moment. Heaven is giving you a mantle. And once a mantle is placed on a chosen one, nothing can stop what comes next. Chosen one. As you move deeper into this divine momentum, you will start to feel heaven rewriting the very atmosphere around your life. What once felt heavy will begin to feel lighter. What once felt blocked will begin to flow. What once felt uncertain will begin to make sense in ways you could never have orchestrated on your own. This is the evidence that spiritual alignment is no longer something you are reaching for. It is a reality you are living in. The old resistance that used to drain your strength is losing its power, not because the obstacles have disappeared, but because your spirit has risen above them. This rise is not loud or dramatic. It is steady, rooted, and deeply supernatural. Something inside you has shifted, and now everything around you is responding to that shift. You may begin to notice that peace follows you into rooms where you once carried anxiety. Conversations that used to unsettle you will now confirm your clarity. Decisions that once overwhelmed you will now flow with ease. This is because heaven is stabilizing you from within. When God strengthens your inner foundation, external situations lose their ability to shake you. You no longer live in reaction to circumstances. You live in response to divine instruction. You no longer navigate life through fear. You navigate it through discernment. This internal shift is one of the greatest miracles heaven performs in the life of a chosen one. It is the miracle that allows you to walk through storms without losing your footing. As this stability deepens, you will also become more aware of the spiritual authority resting on your life. You will sense a new boldness rising within you, not a boldness rooted in confidence alone, but in calling. This boldness will change how you speak, how you show up, and how you carry yourself. You will no longer wait for permission to pursue what heaven has already approved. You will no longer shrink to make others comfortable. You will no longer apologize for the anointing that sets you apart. Instead, you will move with purpose, clarity, and sacred conviction, knowing that heaven is backing every step you take. Chosen one. This authority will make some people uncomfortable. It will expose insecurities in those who once benefited from your self-doubt. It will shift dynamics with people who only knew you in your survival season. Do not be shaken by their reactions. When heaven elevates you, not everyone will understand the shift. But elevation is not about being understood. It is about being aligned. And those who are meant to remain in your life will adjust to the new version of you heaven is unveiling. Those who cannot adjust were never meant to accompany you into this next level. As heaven expands your authority, it will also expand your vision. You will begin to see possibilities where you once saw limitations. Ideas you dismissed as unrealistic will now feel divinely inspired. Goals you once buried because of fear or lack will resurface with new clarity. This is because heaven is awakening the builder within you. You were not called to merely survive life. You were called to shape it. And now that the fog of fear is lifting your creativity, your insight, your wisdom, and your spiritual instincts are becoming sharper than ever before. This awakening is not random. It is a sign that heaven is preparing you to steward something greater than anything you have carried before. In this new sense of awakening, your desire for purpose will intensify. You will feel a pull toward the things that align with your assignment and a growing disinterest in anything that drains your spirit. People, environments, and habits that once held your attention will no longer satisfy your soul. This is a sign that you are outgrowing what was only meant for the earlier chapters of your journey. Heaven will not allow you to settle in spaces that shrink your spirit. Your calling is too vast, too sacred, too significant to be confined. And as you step out of these old spaces, you will find that heaven has already prepared new ones for you, spaces where your voice is valued, your gifts are honored, and your anointing is recognized. Chosen one, this transition into purpose will also activate a deeper trust within you. You will begin to move with a confidence that does not come from knowing every detail, but from knowing who is guiding you. Trust becomes your language, peace becomes your posture, and surrender becomes your strength. You will no longer feel the need to control everything because you will finally understand that divine timing is not just accurate, it is perfect. As this trust grows, your life will enter a rhythm of supernatural ease. Not ease that removes effort, but ease that removes fear. You will work, but not worry. You will build, but not break under pressure. You will move forward, not because the path is smooth, but because your spirit is sure. Chosen one. Heaven is not preparing you for a moment. Heaven is preparing you for a mantle that carries influence, abundance, clarity, and sacred responsibility. Everything you are becoming is aligning you with everything you are called to do. And this chapter you are entering is not temporary. It is transformational. Chosen one. As you step further into this transformational chapter, you will begin to feel a deeper awakening in your spirit, a stirring that tells you something sacred is unfolding beneath the surface of your everyday life. This awakening is not emotional hype. It is the quiet confirmation that heaven has shifted your timeline, opened your path, and aligned your next steps with divine intention. You may not see the full picture yet, but you can sense the momentum, the supernatural pull, the invisible push that keeps guiding you forward. This is heaven saying, you are ready now. Not almost ready. Not someday ready. Ready now. As this divine momentum builds, you will notice your inner dialogue changing. Where you once questioned yourself, you now find yourself believing in possibilities. Where you once feared lack, you now expect provision. Where you once hesitated, you now feel the courage to move. This inner transformation is the true evidence that heaven has touched your life. You are no longer led by the voice of scarcity, but by the whisper of destiny. You are no longer guided by the echo of old wounds, but by the clarity of a renewed spirit. Heaven is untangling your thoughts, untwisting old narratives, and removing the fear-based patterns that once limited your vision. Chosen one, you may also feel more present than ever before. Moments that once felt ordinary now carry meaning. Conversations that once felt casual now feel purposeful. You will begin to see God in the details, in the timing, in the alignments, in the subtle confirmations He places along your path. This heightened awareness is a sign that your spirit is fully awake. You are seeing through spiritual eyes now. You are perceiving the hidden orchestration behind the scenes of your life, and this awareness will anchor you in ways you have never experienced before. In this anchored state, your relationship with purpose will deepen. You will no longer feel the need to chase after opportunities. Instead, opportunities will begin to gravitate toward you. This is not arrogance, it is alignment. When you walk in your true identity, the world responds differently. Doors that once felt locked will open at the slightest touch. People who once overlooked you will begin to recognize the grace you carry. Projects that once felt impossible will now move with supernatural ease. You are stepping into a flow where heaven amplifies your effort, multiplies your resources, and accelerates your progress. With this divine acceleration comes divine responsibility. You will be entrusted with ideas, connections, and opportunities that carry kingdom purpose. Heaven will not give you influence just for personal advancement. It will give you influence because someone else's breakthrough is connected to your obedience. Someone else's deliverance is tied to your yes. Someone else's hope is anchored in your voice. This is why God is strengthening your character, purifying your motives, and refining your spirit. You are being shaped into someone who can carry weight without collapsing, someone who can lead without losing humility, someone who can be seen without being shaken. Chosen. One, as your influence expands, so will your need for rest, not the kind of rest that comes from inactivity, but the rest that comes from trust. Heaven is teaching you to move without striving to build, without fear, to progress without panic. This divine rest will become your shield. It will protect your mind from overthinking, your heart from anxiety, and your spirit from burnout. When you operate from rest, you operate from revelation, not reaction. You make decisions from wisdom, not worry. You walk with clarity instead of confusion. This rest will also give you discernment to know what is for you and what is not, who is for you and who is not, where to plant your energy and where to pull it back. Heaven is removing distractions from your path. You will feel certain invitations lose their pull. You will feel old temptations lose their power. You will feel the noise around you fade so that you can finally hear your own divine rhythm. This clarity is a gift, a spiritual compass guiding you toward the future heaven has prepared for you. Chosen one. Everything in your life is rising to match the calling on your spirit. You are being shaped, stretched, strengthened, and aligned in ways you once prayed for. This is not a season you stumbled into. It is a season heaven scheduled for you. And now, as you walk in this new spiritual identity, you will begin to see why everything had to happen the way it did. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was random. Everything was preparation for this moment you are stepping into now. Chosen one. As you enter this next movement of your divine unfolding, you will begin to sense a profound shift in how heaven communicates with you. The signs will feel closer, the confirmations will arrive faster, and the inner knowing will become stronger. It will feel as if heaven has lowered itself to whisper directly into your spirit. This is not imagination. This is spiritual maturity. You have grown, you have endured, and you have been refined to a level where you can now hear God in ways you couldn't before. The static has cleared, the noise has quieted, the frequency of your spirit has risen high enough to catch revelation that was always meant for you. This new clarity will show up in subtle but undeniable ways. You will begin to understand things without needing explanations. You will feel nudges before situations unfold. You will sense when something is wrong long before it becomes visible, and you will recognize divine opportunity before anyone else sees it. This heightened awareness is not given to everyone. It is entrusted to those who have allowed God to strip away the old layers of fear, doubt, and distraction. And you, chosen one, have allowed that stripping. You may not have realized it, but every painful chapter you survived became preparation for this spiritual intelligence you now carry. As your spiritual intelligence grows, your decisions will begin to shift. You will no longer move from impulse or emotion, but from revelation. You will no longer waste energy explaining yourself to those who cannot discern you. You will no longer fight battles that heaven has not assigned to you. Instead, you will move with precision. You will move with grace. You will move with the quiet confidence of someone who knows heaven is backing their every step. And this confidence will not be prideful. It will be peaceful. It will be a stillness in your spirit that tells you, I am exactly where I am meant to be. With this newfound stillness, heaven will also increase your influence. People will begin to seek your presence without fully understanding why. They will feel comforted by your peace, strengthened by your clarity, and moved by your wisdom. You will become a carrier of divine atmosphere. This is not something you force. It is something you embody. The more aligned you become, the more heaven's light will flow through you. You will enter rooms and shift the tone without speaking a word. Not because you are trying to impress, but because you are walking as someone who has been touched by the supernatural hand of God. Chosen one. Heaven is also preparing to release provision that matches your purpose. You will no longer live in the tension of believing for big things while receiving small things. The scale of your blessing will begin to align with the scale of your calling. Resources will come that match the magnitude of your assignment. Ideas will come that match the brilliance of your spirit. Connections will come that match the depth of your purpose, and every part of it will feel right on time. This is not random increase. It is strategic. It is intentional. It is heaven saying, now build what I placed inside you. As these blessings flow, gratitude will become your anchor, not the shallow kind of gratitude that thanks God only for what is seen, but the deep, mature gratitude that thanks Him for what is still unfolding, gratitude that recognizes that even in silence He was working, gratitude that understands that every closed door was protection, every detour was preparation, and every painful moment was pruning. This gratitude will keep your heart soft, your spirit humble, and your vision clear. Chosen one, you are stepping into a realm where heaven funds your purpose, where peace becomes your default, and where clarity becomes your normal. You are stepping into the spiritual maturity you once prayed for. You are stepping into the life that was always written for you. This is not the end of your journey. This is the beginning of your becoming. Chosen one. As we close this message, let your spirit rest in the truth that heaven has already moved on your behalf. You are not waiting for a breakthrough. You are standing in the center of one. This is your Kairos moment, your divinely appointed season where provision flows, clarity rises, and every need is met by the one who called you. What has begun in your spirit tonight is not fading. It is unfolding. It is strengthening. It is becoming the blueprint for the life heaven always designed for you. Chosen one, walk forward now with reverence and boldness. The supernatural transfer has already started. The wind behind you is holy. The path before you is blessed. The promise above you is sealed. Stay aligned with the anointing, keep your heart open, and step with the confidence of someone who is fully funded by heaven itself. If this word stirred something deep within you, let your agreement be known. Comment with a declaration of faith. Share this with someone who needs a reminder that God has not forgotten them. And if you feel led, stay connected here so your spirit remains anchored in truth. Be blessed, chosen one. Your provision is here. Your confirmation is here. Your future is already opening.